What's your idea of safe sex?
Pull out and pray. Risky sexual behaviors.
If you catch something, you can usually take a pill. With the baby, you can't take a pill to go
Ain't no
away.
pill for no babies.
It's gonna cry every day.
Here we talk about everything sex and safety.
The re-education of sex education. And what you don't want is that one time that you're trying to figure it out to be the one time that things go bad.
And hello, how are you? My name is Dr. Promax. Welcome to the Safe Strings Attached podcast. Here we talk about everything sex and safety, and we're gonna have a bit fun of it. Today I have a guest with me, and I'd love him to introduce himself.
My name is Yavi Kohanim. Thank you for having me on the show today. And I guess we're going to talk about everything sex and everything around sex.
I think, it's very strange.
Yeah.
And in fact, before we started shooting this, very few times we do find men talking about safe sex. Do you find that weird?
I actually found that very weird. You know what's funny about that? We actually discussed this before we even brought it here. So just to say, this is stuff that happens on the back end, but somebody else was supposed to do this podcast before me, and it was a female. And then my good friend asked me if I could jump in and, do it. And I thought it might be kind of weird that two men are sitting here having a conversation about safe sex, but apparently not. So we're gonna get into it as best we can here and kind of figure out which direction to go.
Which direction to go? Yes. Maybe, let me ask, is there an average age that's common in the States where people have their first sexual encounter, especially for both genders, male and female? Is there an average age for the advent of sex?
It's a good question. I think I'm going to say that men have a tendency to have sex earlier. But who are they having sex with? They're having sex with women. So, of course, they put that same pressure on the little girls to do the same thing. So, and when I was young, I do believe that...
How old was that, if you don't mind?
The what?
How old were you? How young?
Oh, was yeah? It's going to put me on blast.
12 years? Was it 14 years?
Personally, me, my first encounter, I don't know how this is going to sound. My first encounter was when I was 12 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah.
12. Nice.
I was 12 years old, my first time having sex. And it was with a young lady that I therefore cried my eyes out after she broke my heart. But go ahead.
Was she younger or older than you?
She was older. She was 14.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, she raped me. I'm just kidding.
It's very interesting because even for a lot of people, a lot of men, this happens with older women. Is it because of skill or?
You know what's funny about that? We have a tendency to go, I think even till this day, I have a tendency to go for older women. So I think when we're younger, we look at older girls like, wow, they got something going on. And I think when you're 11, 12 years old, you'll see a 15-year-old is like, wow, wow, that's the hot mama, But in reality, no, it's not like that. So I just think that there's usually, and women mature faster than men. Men we're slow maturers. And I think they mature faster. And I just think that it's more attractive for an older, not too much older, a couple years. I think I like younger women now. I like younger women now. That's
now
now.
You have the experience.
Yeah, because now I'm getting older. So now I have the experience. Now I'm the old dude. I think now it's different.
When was your first encounter with a condom?
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. These are stories that I wasn't expecting to say on camera. But okay, let's get into it. So my first experience with the condom, and oh man. I hope somebody can feel me out there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be honest with you here. So I was, I was around like 12 or 13. So what I did is I took the condom. I got the condom from a store at like 12. And I got a few of them because I wanted to practice. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, you know?
Right.
So I went through it in my head for like a week on how it was going to happen.
Wow.
You know?
Okay.
So I had them hidden under my bed, and I took one under my bed, and I went downstairs with a blanket, right? So I didn't want to do it in my room because I figured that was like, my mom usually goes in my room. So she wouldn't mess with me if I was on the couch. So I just went on the couch, and I was practicing putting it on. This is how our mind thinks. I was practicing putting it on underneath my blanket in the couch. So really, I was watching TV, practicing on and on. So I wanted to look like I was pro.
You had access to information where you could watch something in the States that showed you how to properly put on a condom.
I think I remember from school. So we had these people come to our school and show us how to put on a banana. So they would take a banana and they put a condom over a banana. So they actually forced it down our throats down in America. So when we were younger, our two things stand out. We had the sex education with the banana lady. She would bring the banana. And then they brought somebody with a terminal illness, right? To speak at the schools.
With terminal sexual transmitted disease.
Exactly. In this case,
Interesting.
in this case, it was, HIV. So, it was AIDS at that point, So this was back then. So they would bring somebody with a terminal illness to scare us as kids, and that person would tell us their story. And you got a room full of kids there that don't know anything about that, and they get shell-shocked at the experience. So they're hoping that it scared us enough to be careful and wear these condoms. And quite frankly, it did.
So it worked.
I think it did work. I wouldn't say it's the best method, though. I don't suggest that for kids. It's kind of scarring. I still think about it.
Is it traumatizing?
I mean, I'm a grown man, and I
Is
still think about it. It's till this day, I still think about some of the stuff I saw in that interview. Yeah.
But I think that's a very good approach.
You think so?
I think so. Because when you shelter so much from the kids, right now we're living in a very dangerous time. I started distributing condoms last year, right? In Safari Rally. At the Safari Rally, I experienced something that, we're trying to, you can see obviously people are having fun, they're enjoying themselves. They're really having a good time, right? And this is where this is going to end up.
Of course.
You can see. So one of my agents tried to sell them a condom, and I happened to be there, to be just next there. And you know what this interesting couple did? They said, no, we don't use that. What do you mean you don't use that? Yeah, we don't use that. Our formula is pull out and pray.
Yeah.
So you pull out, you hope you don't get pregnant, and you pray you don't get an STD.
Yeah, that seems to be about right nowadays.
So I think sometimes it's good to have that kiboko, a cane. Don't. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. So in this case, I think the rod for you in the States was the fact that you were shown very early on the effect of an STD.
Yeah, and it did scare us to the point where a lot of us were using condoms after that. When I think about it now, beyond that, because even until this day, that's the first thing I think about.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Is reverting straight to condoms because of that experience. So will I say it was shell-shocking? Definitely was. Do I suggest it for every kid? I don't, because it could scar you. But I do think it did something to us that was a little over the top, and that lasted for generations.
Interesting.
So it was dope. And it's the fact of what you were talking about right now with people pull out and pray. Look, would you rather, and goes for the people out there, would you rather catch something and then pray about it and hopefully the Father heals you? Or would you rather protect yourself from it and take the proper precautions to go ahead and get it done. I think in this day and age right now, there's too much stuff going on out there, and other than pregnancy, pregnancy, that's a whole different, depending on when you want to do it, so on and so forth. Yes, and of course, condoms are good for that. But I think the simple fact of just not messing up your body too early, and if you have something that you could do to prevent that, I think taking the proper precautions is amazing.
Condoms.
What about them? Yeah.
Do you have an idea where condoms came from?
I'm going to say, okay, so I think I told you something earlier. So the furthest back that I know about condoms, and I was watching something on whatever station this was back in Egypt, about 3,000, 4,000 years ago, something like that, I think. I think that's what it was. I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember after that, I heard something about, in the States, United States, there was a World War I and a World War II. And the soldiers from those army battles would often carry condoms in their pockets because there were so many hookers back then. They wanted to protect themselves for when they go back. So now that all those soldiers most of them are dead, they're digging up their bones, and in their pockets, in their clothes, they're finding all these old condoms from like the 1900s. Yeah. It's pretty interesting stuff. They're finding all these old condoms, and all these soldiers had these condoms. So they knew the importance of condoms 100 years ago.
Wow.
But I think we lost that now.
Just like, wow.
Yeah. I think we're just like, we're over. It's 2020. We're good.
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, well. 100 years ago,
Yeah, we were smarter.
they were smart
Yeah.
with condoms. Do you think maybe that's why we have never built any other pyramids?
I mean, but you were telling me something interesting about 3,000 years ago about the Egyptians.
Yes.
What was that about?
So, in Egypt, 3000 BC,
Okay.
The pharaohs used to have relations with concubines and other, other women a lot, like King Solomon times, right? And it's documented in history that they used to have linen cloths.
What?
Linen cloths.
Linen cloths. Uh-huh.
Yes, that they would spray with a certain chemical.
Okay.
And on top of that, use goat's intestines.
Okay.
Just to prevent anything. To prevent STDs.
They would put a linen cloth and then it go over that?
A linen cloth on the shaft.
Uh-huh.
And then
A goat skin over.
skin over it.
Yeah.
Tie it at the tip.
I mean, that's got to be a nightmare. I mean, think about
Think about
that.
Think about it.
Like, hold on, baby. Like, what the? Oh, man, you can't even, the feeling is just done.
For whatever reason
Yeah.
that they needed to do that for, they used to go to that extent.
Yeah, there must have been some
Can
vicious
you imagine?
STDs.
Yeah. The syphilis is believed to be around the Roman times. But I think we do not know a lot about Egyptian diseases.
I don't think we know about too many diseases even back that far.
Exactly.
We might have different names for them now.
Exactly.
Like, oh, he died of like this and that. He
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
had like
yeah.
gonorrhea and just died.
The funny thing is that 10 years or 20 years ago, in Kenya, when someone dies mysteriously, used to be that person died of HIV. Now, when someone dies mysteriously, it's called it's what do you call it? It's baptized cancer.
Baptized cancer.
Yeah, whatever reason you died mysteriously of, it's cancer.
Oh, they say it's cancer.
So even if you died of HIV or anything like that, not discriminating against the HIV or anything, but people have really gone quiet about the incidences of HIV and STDs. They've gone quiet on it, so much.
I think since nowadays we find it as there's so many methods to mask it, just with different medications and so on and so forth. We've forgotten the seriousness of it.
The seriousness of
So if you look into from the 1980s on down to the 1990s, even into the early 2000s, it was a different story.
Yeah.
But now, since we have all these medications now that could ease it out,
Exactly.
it's not so much of a bigger deal. So they're
I
not
think
taking
so.
it as serious anymore.
And I'm so happy.
It's just like getting a cough.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we are getting more advances.
I
to
love
treat
it. Absolutely. It's
certain
amazing.
diseases.
Because when we were kids,
HIV was a death sentence.
it was a death sentence, yo.
Now HIV is a lifelong medication.
Just like take some medication, you'll be fine.
It's
It is what it
treatment.
is. It's silly. It's like a little walk in the park. But at the end of the day, if you cannot expose yourself to it, and if you can take the proper precautions now
Exactly.
in order to keep yourself from having to go through that, because that could affect you mentally. You see what I'm saying? Just do it. Just do it. If it's going to cost you a couple dollars, or in this case shillings, to get that taken care of, to make sure that you have that extra protection, to do it. And if you're healing them from handsome older guys like us, must be right. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Now, how free are you to walk up in a shop and buy a condom?
I hate doing it. For one, there's a stigma behind it. Like I used to hate walking in condoms and like walking in stores and asking, especially when you got a full counter. Imagine that, you got a full counter, you go in there to get some penis candy. Like, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, kids. But in reality, it can be embarrassing. So what I'm saying is, it could be somewhat embarrassing. It could be somewhat, you can be apprehensive towards it, whatever the case is. But what I've learned is, there's little times you can move in. So I usually sit in my car sometimes, wait till everybody kind of moves out, and I move in there real fast and get them to come out. That's how I did it. But now I'm not so much worried about it. Now it's pretty simple to me. I think that was the first couple of times when I did that. Now I just go online, walk in line, and the dudes are in line like, yeah, because they know what time it is.
So, and you've been in Kenya for a while.
When they came for a while.
Where have you bought a condom here?
There's a store that I've gotten them from. I don't know the name of it, but I know it's a store. It's a store.
Drugstore, as you may know it. I'm a pharmacy for us.
I think it was a farm. No, we call it what farm? No, you guys call it a laboratory, all right?
The pharmacy.
You call it a pharmacy? No, it's not. It's called something else.
Yeah, it's pharmacy.
Nah, it's called a laboratory or something.
Lab is something else. It's a
know.
lab where you go to do
Anyways,
testing.
well, yeah, we call it a pharmacy too. So yes, I saw it inside of a pharmacy.
Okay.
And they have them set up there in pharmacies.
Okay.
And where I'm from, you would get them from like liquor stores, like a 7-Eleven or something. But here, I don't think those exist.
Yeah.
So you walk into a pharmacy or a laboratory, whatever they're called. But yeah. And they usually have them in there.
So at least you know where to access
Yes.
condoms when you're here.
Yes, I do know how to access them because, again, ideally, they're usually in every country in the same place. You usually walk into a store, a pharmacy, or something like that. They're usually going to happen, and make sure that you ask for the correct sizing.
Correct sizing.
Yeah.
How does someone know their size? Like, if one was to go and get the different options of condoms, how do you get to know about your size?
Yeah, try them on. Old school. You gotta old school it out.
Just try them on,
You gotta try them on. You gotta old school it out, man. You can't just sit there with a measuring tape. It ain't gonna work like that.
Okay. Interesting.
If you're the one dude at the store with a measuring tape against condoms, you're a weird dude. So just take a few packs. You're gonna figure it out very quickly. And this is for all the gentlemen out there. You're going to figure it out very quickly when you put on a condom and either it fits or it doesn't fit, it's too tight or it's too big. If it's too big, you got a bigger size and you need to drop it down a notch. If it's too tight, you need to step it up, either way.
Interesting.
But for the most part, condoms are pretty universal.
Well, do you have a way of selecting your preferred brand of condoms?
A way of selecting. I'm going to go with, again, our brands, I live here now, but our brands in America were quite different than here. So I don't want to give them any promotional. Mm-hmm. But what I'll say is, after doing my experience with a few condoms out here, I found one that I really liked, and it was Niptex.
Well,
it was. I ain't gonna lie to you, it was. Uh-huh. And that's simply because of, for one, the smell is amazing. Okay. Right? It doesn't have that weird smell. You know when you open up a condom, it smells like a rubber factory?
Yeah.
And you're like rubber and Vaseline. As soon as you leave the room, you smell like you had sex because you got rubber and Vaseline going over.
Yeah.
Just, you smell the whole house. It's terrible.
Okay.
You don't get that with that.
Okay.
All right. And then the strength is also good as well. Yeah. So that's a whole different story. But yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, I only experienced 2 or 3 brands here, and I would have to say that.
Why is it that young people still engage in risky sexual behaviors regardless of everything that has been taught?
That is such a good question. And I said earlier I was going to be real about this question, so let me just be as real as possible here. I think with men or anyways, it would be boys, girls, men, women, doesn't matter, but with female and male alike, we think with different parts of our bodies. We use different brains. Males think with a different brain a lot, and that brain lives beneath our belly button. Mm-hmm. And no matter what you experience or what you go through, that brain down there is going to tell you to dive in, because subconsciously the sensation you think may be better, right? And at that moment, it's all about gratifying the senses.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So the gratification of the senses goes beyond mental clarity at that point. Mm-hmm. You can get with a female that smells terrible.
Wow.
Doesn't take care of yourself, and just go for it, because that mental thing down there is telling you, go ahead and take care of that. That's when you have to shift into a thinker mode and put that to the side and understand that this situation might be detrimental, and it may cost you a lot more than the 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of pleasure that you're about to get into. One thing I learned about men is we'll hit our head over and over and over again. At one point, we'll figure it out, but it takes a long time to get there. Mm-hmm. And what you don't want is that one time that you're trying to figure it out to be the one time that things go bad. Because all it takes is one time. So I know that thought, and this is man to man talking to the fellas right now. I can't speak for a woman. I know that thing in your mind is telling you to forget about it, just move forward, let's do it, jump in, so on and so forth. You need to think with your first head and really be smart about it and pick up some protection.
But I want you to think about it also this way, all right?
Sure.
Because a few men have told me stories, right? Mm-hmm. You're with a woman, nice lady, right? Mm-hmm. You have the condom there with you.
Don't use it.
You want to put it on, but she will insist. Don't use it. And even take it further, grab it from you, and start doing things. What can you do in such a situation? Can you imagine such a situation? Now, man to man, like you're on the field. You're in the field.
I mean, man to man, I've been in that situation, so yeah. I mean, let's be honest here.
What happened?
Let's hear a lie about it, but yeah, you
you're
know.
alive. But you know, that's a situation.
Yeah, it is.
It is a situation.
It's, you know, I think, man.
And it also brings to mind the what is consent for men?
That's a great question. That's an
What
amazing
is
question.
consent for men? If you're found in a situation where your all systems go, right? But you want to say no. Where does consent come? What is consent for men?
Oh, man. What an incredible
Like
question.
it's very.
And these are very hard questions to answer because it's due to each particular person, right?
Yes.
So, you know, when you're dealing in a situation like that, I could easily say, take a breath, relax, and just think about it sensibly. But at that moment, when you got whatever in front of you, there's no
consent for
there's no
men.
consent. There's no sensibility. It's like, wait a second. You don't want to use it,
What
all
is
right?
consent? What is consent? No.
Yeah. So that's a hard conversation to have. And I think it's to each and every one.
Have you ever walked away from a situation like that?
I have walked away from situations like that. It took that guttural life of the Father in heaven. It took a real intervention. It's like Michael the Archangel came down there and was like, no. It took everything in me, but I have walked away from a situation like that because
I'd like to ask that to a couple of men. I want
I have.
to.
I have.
You've led it to that point. But as men, we are leaders. So if you insist that you're going to use a condom and your partner does not want to use it, would it make someone feel less of a leader? Or I don't know.
I think it kind of puts a man in a position to where he feels someone like a punk if he says, oh no, let's use it. If you got the woman there like, no, we're good, and you're like, no, I think we should use it. She's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it kind of puts us in a very compromising position. But again, for the young men out there and the men alike, it's okay to be in a compromising position. It's okay for you to be the leader in a situation like that. And it's okay for you to make the right action because even when that night or that moment is done, you'll look at that situation and be like, I'm glad I made that decision. Every single time.
Or you end up still feeling like a punk.
Yeah, because once all that, yeah, that's true. Because once all that, in Spanish, it's like muchacho, so it means
Muchacho.
like, you know, all that vibration is out of you. You calm down, you know, and you can think clear. So understand in a moment like that, you don't think too clear. When you're all revved up and you got all the emotions going through you and everything's happening and all this in front of you, you're not thinking clearly. But once it's done, you'd be surprised how clearly you think in 2 seconds. And you're going to thank yourself for taking the 2 seconds and having the wherewithal to tell this person that you needed to put that condom on. So save yourself from the emotional nightmare.
I think men need cheat codes,
Absolutely.
you know, for thinking on the go.
Absolutely.
If you were to summarize that moment where you actually, Mike the Archangel and everyone came and you got out of that situation, what are some of the 3 things that you did that got you out?
I took a moment to think.
Okay.
And also think about the repercussions. I think once you think about the repercussions very hard, you tend to really think about the situation that you're in. And willpower, man.
So
Willpower, that was it. And
the
grace
first
of
thing
God.
is repercussions. So for everyone who's watching, if you give us a consent, like I said, I'm in the field. I can rally up some videos, but watch at your own discretion.
And repercussions is not just STDs. Repercussions be babies. Think about that. Keep in mind, fellas, this is for all the men out there, the younger kids or whatever the case, whoever's watching. I want you to understand something. You don't want to have a child with everybody that you sleep with. Okay? Not everybody is supposed to be a mother. I hate to say that.
Not everyone is supposed to be a father.
Not everyone's supposed to be a father.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not ready to be a father. Maybe you're not ready to take on the responsibility of having a child and so on and so forth. And maybe that girl that you're with is really not the best mother for that child. You don't know that person like that, how you think you do. So at the end of the day, it is so wise for you to take 2 seconds and think about those repercussions. Hardcore that could happen with your life, because that's not a disease. That is a responsibility for 50 years. If you catch something, you can usually take a pill. With the baby, you can't take a pill to go
Ain't no
away.
pill for no baby.
It's gonna cry every day. And you got to feed it every day.
Yeah.
And just, it's something that changes your life. So those repercussions are real, and it's very, very important. I can't stress this enough. Please, it is very important for you to take a moment and pick up something. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wise right there.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think these white things are doing you
That's
justice.
from a man that's learned his lessons. You know? I got a few kids. You know?
Interesting. The ones you know and the ones you don't.
Hey, what I'm saying. No. I don't want my kids to be like, hey, what? No, I don't mean that. Hey. I'm Yavi Kovinim, and this is Safe Strings Attached. Today we have my co-host, or my temporary co-host, and her name is?
Esther Situma. Hi.
Esther Setuma. So Esther decided to join us today to give a woman's perspective on what me and the doctor were talking about at first. But let's go ahead and get into what her ideas are about safe sex and maybe some stories that she has to tell us. Yes. So Esther. Mm-hmm. So can I ask you a question? What is something that you've gone through that is maybe turned you off about a man?
There's a lot that turned me off about a man.
I guess more, since this is a sex show, we'll say more in the sexual leading up to sex. What's something that turns you off about a man that leading up to it, it'll just turn you all the way off to where you won't want to deal with them anymore?
I feel like this is more of like a preference thing. Okay, so I feel like different women will want different things, yeah? So this is sexually leading up to sex. The things that turn me off.
Even from the date, talking about like everything.
Even from the date.
Yes.
Okay, so I hate a guy that's not like decisive. This is one thing that like turn me off. Like a guy who isn't decisive. You know, like a guy who'll ask you like, oh, when am I seeing you? You know, where are we going?
Okay.
You know, like I want a man who'll be like, hey, let's go here at this certain time. You know, just like be decisive. Tell me what's the plan.
Okay. Well, where I'm from, I'm from the United States. I can think that some women are the same way, but some are not. Our women are very, they're different, Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like with Western culture, women tend to be more...
masculine, just say it.
No, masculine. I'm not going to go there.
I'll say it.
I'm not going to say masculine. I won't go
masculine.
that far. But I'll say like women are more empowered. I'm not going to go...
Let's just say masculine. Look, it is what it is. What I'll say is this. Our women have different understandings on what it is to be a woman. And that's why I asked you that the first question. I wanted to see exactly where you stood on what was a turn off to you maybe and what was a turn on to you. And this is all leading towards a different question later on. But right now we're just trying to figure out from a woman's perspective, what are the things that really, that men do right and what are the things that men do wrong?
Okay, so for me personally, everything that a man does right is like masculine. everything that a man does left is feminine. Like I don't like that at all, because it makes me like lean into my masculine side, and I don't like that.
So you like more when a man takes control, the masculine energy.
Yes.
You like that energy.
Yes.
When a man gets too feminine, starts letting you kind of drive the wheel, so on and so forth. That, you know, I'm going to say this. That speaks a lot. Do you think a lot of Kenyan women are like that?
I don't think so. I don't think like a lot of African men are like that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Interesting.
Think so. Like a solid 80%. 80% is a lot.
80-20, 80 they're masculine or 20 they're masculine?
80 that like really feminine, and 20 that like really masculine.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't know so much. So what I'll say is this. Do you think that most women, Kenyan women, actually feel how you feel? Or you think this is a personal thing? This is kind of like
A lot of women will feel how I feel.
You think so?
Yes.
Interesting.
100% they would.
Interesting. So this is going to get kind of deep right now. Do you feel that this rolls over into the sexual essence?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to talk about real fast. Do you mind talking about that? A little much?
Lead me to this.
Okay, when okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you feel like that leads it in the bedroom as well? Is that something that, again, I don't know, but is this something that do you think women struggle with in the bedroom with maybe the dating scene out here in Nairobi? Mm-hmm.
In the bedroom.
Yeah, it's a little tough one.
It's really not. You just have to like process it.
Process it and make sure it comes out right.
Yeah, like in the bedroom. I feel like even guys that would be like passive, like when you're dealing with them like face to face, and that's not very masculine, being very passive. Traditionally, it wouldn't be very passive. It'd be very passive. A passive man, traditionally,
Okay.
like you could meet him in the bedroom and he's very like masculine, and there's a guy who'd be like very masculine, and you meet him in the bedroom is very passive.
From what I've seen so far here in Kenya, men are usually raised to be somewhat gentlemen. Now, what I mean is this. I know you might look at me and be like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. But what I'm saying is they're different. Western values aren't always the best values. We're raunchy.
Yeah, I know.
We are, and raunchy's not good all the time.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of Kenyans in general, whether men or women, are raised in a much wholesome way. So do you feel like that wholesome nature sometimes takes over and you're looking for maybe a bad boy?
Yeah, me personally, no. I'm not looking for like a bad boy. I'm looking for like a guy who loves me and like likes me and like who treats me like how I feel like a woman should be treated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I'm really not looking for like a bad boy like that. So to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why are you looking for a bad boy? Like, why do you want to be treated so bad? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally.
No, I think that's most women, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean, who wants to go? Yeah.
Like, what woman wants to be treated
Yeah,
like
who wants
so
to get
bad?
beat? Who wants to get cheated on? Who wants to go through all that drama, so on and so forth?
Yeah, like,
so
who the fuck wants that?
my last question would be this. So what advice would you give to most Kenyan men, coming from a perspective of a woman here in Kenya, if you could give them any advice at all on a worldwide stage?
Be you, I guess.
Just be you.
Just be you.
Don't worry about Western principles, nothing like that. Just be who you are.
Western principles don't even matter. Like, just be you.
Okay.
Yeah, just be you.
So I actually wanted to ask this the entire time. In the bedroom, I know this is going to get a little personal. I do apologize. Do you have the majority of men that, well, I'm not going to say you talk to a lot of men because I don't know. But do you get the condom question a lot? Meaning that do people usually have them, or do they ask you to provide one, or do they bring one with them? Is it relevant, or?
I feel like it's a relevant question.
And just to give you a breath of fresh air here, I think this is a lot of things that we're experiencing now. You know what's funny about that? You're laughing about that, but I'm pretty sure there's people out there that understand.
Yeah.
And are going through the same thing. That conversation should be had more, and maybe it's not being had enough.
Okay.
All right? So again, there's no wrong answer here.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I've had the same partner for years. So we don't really have that conversation like that anymore. But I feel like if the man isn't bringing up the conversation, like bring it up. Like bring it up. Don't put your life at risk.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you think maybe after this conversation, you might have that conversation a little bit more?
Yeah, we really should have that conversation a little bit more. It's really opening up my mind to a lot that's going on. Yeah, so we're really gonna have that conversation.
Can I ask you this? Do you feel like this is a conversation that maybe many women here in Kenya are dealing with?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess my next question would be, this is a real one.
Okay.
Would you bring a condom to a date?
Personally, I wouldn't. Just because, like, is it like a first date or like a second date?
I would say, okay, all right, that's a good question. So you've been on a couple dates with this guy. You're now starting to feel something for him because you know him. Would you already prepare yourself and actually bring a condom? But in this case, we're talking about a male condom. So a male condom will protect you just as much as it will protect the female as well.
So would I bring a male condom?
Would you bring a male condom? And with that being said, you can easily pick up some condoms and have some male condoms with you. So there's no stress on trying to look for a female condom, so on and so forth. Although female condoms are necessary. If you have a male one, it doesn't.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, probably. But I'd be more comfortable bringing a female condom to it.
Okay.
If the decision was up to me.
Okay.
So I feel like the conversation should also shift from like male and female, not just like male contraceptives. You should also involve like female contraceptives to the conversation because it like make female, you know.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
Yeah,
that's very
I feel
true.
more comfortable.
That's very true. That's very true. So did you have any questions for me?
So what if me and you went to like the bedroom and like me and you are getting it on, we had like a really good date, and out of nowhere like I rip out like a female condom or like a male condom.
Yeah, I can do no female.
I do no discrimination.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would you feel about it?
Well, if it was a female condom, I'd probably look at it and laugh. If it was a male condom, I would, I'd get ready. It'd be a decent night. But I wouldn't turn that down, for one. I wouldn't. If somebody handed me a condom, I'd actually think that was better. Because they're now telling, understand this about men. When we see a woman has a condom with her, we know that she's thinking. You understand?
That she's gonna have sex.
Well, not even so much that she's taking care of herself, because everybody can have sex. You see what I'm saying? So sex is worldwide. But if somebody has the wherewithal to have a condom with them, it makes me know that this person is thinking about their safety. This person just ain't out there doing anything with anybody, and she's well thought through. So if you handed me a condom on a date and was like, would you like to do something, or whatever the case was, in your sensual way, your sensual Kenyan way, I'd probably be appreciative. And it would actually make me get me going more. Because I know that you're looking out for me just like you're looking out for yourself. And it would make me really more passionate about you as a woman, because you're really thinking without not thinking, if you know what I'm saying. So it's a plus.
So to you, as a condom signals more like oh, safety more.
Safety, cleaner.
More than like, oh wow, like
Just
I
stick it
really
in.
want to have sex.
like, wait a second, hold on,
It
man.
doesn't signal more of like, oh, I really want to have sex. That's not what a condom
No,
signals
no,
to.
it not even so much that. It does signal the fact that this person wants to, have intercourse with you. But what I'll say is this: I'll say it's a well thought through plan.
Yeah.
This woman is actually being extremely thoughtful about it, and she came with the appropriate utensils to get it popping in the right way, and that's how I feel.
Say less. Say less. Makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I'm not gonna take it, rip it up, and throw it away and say, let's just get it in.
It's gonna signal more of like safety.
Yeah, safety. This person actually knows what they're doing. Absolutely. All right. So, any questions in the audience? Go ahead, James.
For now, when it comes to this goes to now. What's the name again? Sorry.
Esther.
Esther.
Yes.
That's but Esther, let me ask you a question. So now, when it comes to condoms, see now, you say that when you become intimate, when you're intimate with your partner, I don't know whether you have a partner or no or whatever, but whenever you have a partner, you want to be very intimate. Do you feel more intimate with rather, or you feel more intimate when it comes to?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question. That's an amazing question. All right. So, what are you thinking?
I wouldn't feel very okay. So I feel like intimacy for a woman is more about like safety and security. Intimacy, like how close you can get with a person, and for women especially, it's not. You can't get very close without like safety and security unless you're like in that mindset where like you're blowing it off to the wind and whatever. Yeah, so like we'd want like security and like to feel secure and safe even when we're having like sex with a person, right?
Yeah.
So even when you're having sex with a person, so of course on the first night, on the second night, on the third night, on the fourth night, on the fifth night. This seems like a lot to men. I don't know why. But like, yeah, you wouldn't feel like safe with a person who you don't know, like why you having raw sex with a person you don't know, right? Like you could catch all sorts of things, you don't know where they've been, you don't know who they're talking to, like you don't know like the whole.
So, are you saying that you would feel safer with a condom, or if you knew that person, then it was okay to maybe?
Yeah, like no, if I don't know you, like I wouldn't do it without a condom,
Okay, so you're saying when you're first meeting somebody, even if you've known them for a while, your first time kind of doing it.
How much is a while?
Even if you've known them for, whatever, it's weeks, months, whatever the case is.
That's such a short time,
Whatever time you want to put on it. Well, what I'm saying is, if it's your first time or second time, you want to still feel like that you're safe with condoms.
Yeah.
But after you get more acquainted with this person, you would feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable if I've known you for a long time,
That's dope.
But in the initial, let's do condoms, let's be safe. You never know who this person is like interacting with. You don't know where the person that's interacting with them is going. Like you don't know all this type of things. So yeah, like be safe.
You know what's funny? That's the thought process that a lot of us have, including myself. And I think that's a thought process that also gets us in trouble. And what I mean by that is this. Just because we feel comfortable with somebody after the first or second or third time, we shouldn't remove that protection, because in reality, we still don't know that person.
That's the thing.
People take time to get to know, but, and then kids come or whatever the case is. Like I said, it's not just about diseases. It could be children involved or whatever else, This could even go spiritual and say that we take on demons from people from their past traumas. I mean, there's all kind of scientific stuff going on out there, but there's just stuff that we need to learn about people before we dive in like that. I think that we need to pay more attention to. You know, not to say what you said was wrong, because I do the same thing too. I'm not going to lie to you. We're all human. But yeah, it's something I'm working on too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I also have a
okay.
question for you.
Sure, absolutely.
At like what point would you say like it's no rubber for you and a woman that you're getting
Oh, that's a
intimate
good
with?
question. Oh,
Like at
man.
what point would you say it's no rubber for you?
You're right. I can't lie and say that, you know. I think there comes a time where everybody has to take it off and hang the hat up. So, I mean, I'm all about condoms. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's the major way for people to go in general, especially for the teenagers out there, for even the adults. But there is a point in time where you hang it up. And I think that time comes when two consensual adults come together and figure out that they're either getting married or they're okay with having children.
Okay.
Okay? Because once we're at that point, once I've known you for a long time, and this goes for everybody else out there, youth, adults, whatever, once you're to a point to where you're okay with being with this person forever, you're committed yourself to marriage, and or you're in the zone of having children, take it off, do what you got to do. Remove it, throw it away, do what you have to do. But again, that should take some time. That shouldn't be after the first month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Take time on that, on figuring out what you want to do with that person. And once you get to that time, I believe it's okay to put the condoms down. What's your idea of safe sex?
Safe sex.
And that's the whole picture.
Okay, so I define safe sex. So obviously we have to go for the man and for the woman. Obviously the woman has different ideas of what like safe is, because you have to consider also, you know, things like pregnancy, which are like extra for the women, you know. So I feel like for the woman, safe sex isn't just about like condoms and preventing STDs and preventing like HIV and all of these other things. It's also just like preventing also like pregnancy. So if you're not like in the mental state where do you want to have like a child, if you're not in that mental state, or you're not, for whatever reason, you don't want a child, or you're not able to keep a child, I feel like safe sex for you would, so condoms would be good, but you could always go an extra step, you know, for women, I feel.
So I feel like you're saying mentally, physically, everything. Same thing that I was going to try to say right now as well. I think safe sex starts from inception, as soon as you meet somebody. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to really think about it like that. So as soon as you meet a person, you have to already put yourself and conceptualize yourself into a safer practices and safer relationships. There's this old saying that says, when a man sees a woman or when a woman sees a man, you know if you want to sleep with that person in the first 30 seconds. And I don't know how true that is. I think it is kind of true to a point, because I felt the same way. But from that moment on, you should already start working on the safeness of that relationship. The things that you say, the things that you do, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think safe sex starts with the bigger picture. It doesn't just start in the bedroom. It starts when you first meet somebody and you take it from there. So already have in your mind, even if you want to sleep with this person, that you're going to do it the right way. You're going to make responsible decisions and just overall be a better person.
Yes, like pregnancy.
Well, let's take this out to the crowd. How effective are condoms? Does anybody have an accurate answer on that?
Yeah, let's
because that's
studio
something I really don't know.
audience.
We need to Google.
Yeah, let's Google
Okay, so let's Google
it.
that.
We don't need to go. I mean,
Oh, we have a doctor in the house.
I think as per my last research readings,
Yeah.
condoms are effective up to 86%.
Is that the highest we can get?
86%.
Now, the proper condom use, you can get up to 99%. Why is it 86%? It's 86% because of improper condom use. So this takes us back to a conversation of proper versus improper. Now, with improper condom use, you can get down to 0%.
99% is extremely high. I feel like 99% is the highest you can go.
I think you said 99% if they were used properly. So let's just say from 85% to 99%.
And that's a lot, you know.
It is a good percentage. I think there are a lot of variables in that answer or that question. And I think for me personally, I'm going to say that I would rather stay away from drug use with my pregnant spouse, with using birth controls or whatever the case is. So a lot of the time, let's take into a health perspective here. Let's look at the fact that there are drugs that are being used in order to prevent people from getting pregnant and even prevent STDs.
Yeah.
Do we really want to continue to put those drugs in our bodies when we can really just buy condoms
exactly,
or replacement for it and leave ourselves away from having to dump all these poisons? That's all they are, is poisons. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Into our bodies.
Yeah.
And kill ourselves over time.
Yeah.
But in reality, we can take proper steps into protecting ourselves without having to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
In the real world, when should you stop using protection? Or when do you stop using protection?
It comes to a point that everybody stops using condoms once they find the ideal person. But with that ideal person, you have to talk about marriage and or having children. So if you're not at a point in your relationship where you're okay with being married with that person or married to that person or ready to have children, I don't think it's the right time. Personally, again, this is just me, and every person's going to follow their own map of life map here. But I think it's not the right time to take off the rubber.
Let me ask this question differently.
Sure, absolutely.
You found your ideal partner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're like, okay, I'm okay to have kids with her or him. The question is, in her or him's lives, how many other people are okay to have kids?
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Well,
here's the thing.
just hold on. Just to interject on that
Okay.
one.
Example of the private jet.
If you're in a relationship,
I also have an opinion to that.
Can I ask this question?
Yes.
Why is it that conceiving a child has been left to such open roulette?
yeah.
Why is it that in our African culture, conceiving is still an open roulette, where we realize that having a child, like Yahweh mentioned in our discussion, that when you have a child, you have a responsibility for 50 years.
Yeah.
With all our education and with all our advancements as Africans, why is it that this is still roulette?
Well, I think that's what the condoms are for. We're not really allowing it to be. That's more of an educational process to me. I think the educational aspect has been taken out of sex here in Africa, as we spoke about earlier, and that we're somewhat lacking in that position. And I think that's why this is so important. So this podcast alone should be very important to the entirety of Africa, and not just Kenya alone, in the re-education, not the education, but the re-education of sex education. And bringing light or shedding light on the sometimes dark spaces we don't like to talk about in the houses. So in reality, I think that it's not been left out. That's why we're so promoting condom usage and making the correct and proper decisions when engaging in intercourse with your spouse. So it's very important that we do talk about these things here, on the stage and off the stage, in and out of public spaces, to even address doctors' comment right there, as far as how pregnancy is now being handled differently because we can control pregnancy with this if we would just use this, you know? Anyways, that's my thoughts. So with that being said, I'm Yavi Kohanim, and this is my co-host for the moment,
Esther.
And we thank you guys for joining the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.